Good evening, WNBA and women's basketball fans. Glad to be back with you folks, and as we will say again, but on the eve of a brand new season, welcome in, folks, to the final installment of WNBA 365 Preseason Central. Joined tonight, folks, by the usual suspects and a late add to the lineup, folks. Joining us, of course, is Eric Nimchok, the great writer from today's Fast Break in Elmhurst, Illinois, and, of course, up in beautiful Los Angeles, California, Crystal Thomas and Tanisha Stewart, along, folks, with the newest addition to the WNBA 365 Network broadcast family. Folks, please welcome in the man, myth, legend, you can sort of say, but the guy that operates WNBA 24/7 at WBB_247. That is Marquez Anderson joining us in the hangout tonight, folks. Our special guest. And, of course, Kyle McClure joining you, folks, here from Studio 171 in San Diego. Folks, good evening, and guys, good evening. Good to see you again. How's it going tonight? Good to see you guys.
Hey,
What's up?
It's hot.
And again, folks, we want to again welcome in Marquez Anderson again. He operates the WNBA 24/7 account. You can follow him on Twitter at WBB_247. We read some of his tweets across the air, on the air, plenty of times. Marquez, man, good to have you aboard. How's it going tonight?
I'm going good. I'm excited to get started. Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Hey.
Yeah, Marquez, no problem. We love bringing new folks on, and we know that a lot of our friends that are viewers of the network do enjoy your commentary on the wide world of women's basketball. But, folks, of course, social media and the chat box wide open for you folks at WNBA 365 or any of us on Twitter at Calamac3, at ShortyMamba24, at Pup1010, or at Nimchocky, or Marquez's handle, of course, folks, is at WBB_247 with the hashtag WNBA 365. All right, guys, final, pretty much last call for moves today being made by almost everybody. Following players today sustained some type of a roster notice earlier in the day, starting with Atlanta, suspending Demarius Dantas for the 2016 season. Also suspended today was Oakley Carrick as well, also suspended for the 2016 season. Following players waived today: Shanice McKinney by Chicago, Talia Caldwell, Swin Cash, Aline Elbrink, Avery Worley Talbert were all waived today. Amanda Zowie B dealt from Dallas to New York for a 2017 first-round pick, and Tabitha Richardson-Smith signed a contract with the Stars today. So, Shorty, starting with you, first and foremost with the suspended players. Again, that's Demarius Dantas and Olke Carrick, again, being suspended by New York. Again, both players suspended for the 2016 season. Shorty, I know that we've seen this a few times already with players being suspended either for overseas or missing training camp. Shorty, in your mind, though, do you believe that it's fair that teams have the right to put these kind of implications on their players if, in fact, they have a season overseas that goes longer than expected, or if there is an injury during training camp? Do you feel, though, that teams are obligated to do this type of move in your mind?
I mean, I think they do because, if they need to, open up cap and open up roster spots, for other incoming players that might, need to get a chance. So they do have to suspend that following player, whether they have Olympic commitments or other situations going on. But I definitely do think it's within the team's best interest to suspend that player for the time being, whether they miss half or potentially the whole entire season.
And Crystal, I know that we had other players, notably Taurasi, Taylor, Parker, all last season, fouls included, sit out the first half of the season, or in some cases, sitting out the full season on their own terms. It wasn't implemented or put down by the franchises involved, a la LA, Phoenix, and Chicago for that first time while fouls was sitting out. But then, Crystal, do you feel, though, or do you agree with the fact that teams can't put this implication on their players in regards to suspending them for a half or for the full season due to something coming up, either on a basketball court somewhere else or perhaps personal reasons?
I don't see an issue with suspending the player, especially if they have some obligation somewhere else, or if it's the Olympics or injury or something like that, because there may possibly. Well, I think she's suspended for the whole year, correct? Like for the whole season.
Yeah.
I think it's easier for them to do that in a way. So if she does choose to come back next year, they don't really have to worry about if they're going to cut her or not. I think it's easier for them to also suspend her so they can add another person instead of just cutting her off the team altogether. So I really don't know why she's suspended, but I don't see an issue with it.
So, Eric, with this being 2016 in the Rio Olympic Games in August this year, and of course there's going to be the month-long stopgap for the WNBA while players do go overseas and partake for their respective countries. So, Eric, knowing that the Olympic Games is a reason for this, Eric, do you believe more players may be suspended perhaps either sometime before or during, or do you believe, though, that you may see more players suspended while they do go over to Rio for the Olympic Games in your mind? Do you think so, or what do you think?
I could definitely see it happening. I'm not really sure what the deadline is for those types of moves, but I think you want to have players in training camp for as long as possible. Michael Cooper, he probably knows that Damaris Dantas wasn't, she wasn't there, so he had no problem suspending her as of today. It also depends, what games those players are going to miss, because obviously, you have the Brazilian national team, which is hosting the Rio Olympics, so they're going to want to get it. They're going to want to practice more and stuff like that. You got the Canadian national team, which has this really crazy schedule. They're going to have all sorts of tryouts and exhibitions and whatnot. So it depends on the individual team schedule, I guess. But yeah, I would expect to see more moves like this in the future.
And Marquez, you've heard from everyone else, in regards that they think it's okay. I think that it is okay, but, I think it's a little harsh, I think, that a team can suspend a player for a full season. I know, though, that sometimes in sports that they'll suspend a player for either conduct detrimental to the team or like a personal or like internal problem, but nothing in regards to something that I believe is out of the player's control, is something either going on overseas with their overseas commitments or even the Olympics. Marquez, do you agree, though, that teams can, should be allowed to put these kind of implications on their players, though, for an entire season?
Well, yeah, because in Atlanta's case, having Dantas out, that allows someone like a Simmons to make the team, and because she may not have regardless, but now with an extra spot open, that opens the opportunity for her or someone else they may have in mind. And Eric brought up Canada. They have players that are probably going to miss at least 11 games, I've read. So yeah. I think once you have people missing like that, it makes sense to suspend them and bring someone else in so your roster doesn't get too depleted.
Again, folks, Marquez Anderson, our special guest correspondent tonight. Again, folks, follow him on Twitter. He's got a lot of good stuff there and always is open for conversation. Again, his handle is at WBB_247. Again, Marquez Anderson joining us here tonight on WNBA 365. All right, Shorty, trade news today. Again, Amanda Zahui B dealt from Dallas to the Liberty for their 2017 first-round pick. We'll get to the other moves that New York made earlier. First and foremost, Shorty, Zahui B has not really – I don't want to say really hasn't done a whole lot in Tulsa. Of course, rookies don't really play a whole lot unless they're, of the caliber of, maybe a Parker or Taurasi coming in their first year, or other players that really made their mark as a rookie. Shorty, with this change of scenery from Dallas to New York and a very rugged and tough head coach in Bill Laimbeer, Shorty, in your mind, what does this move do for New York in your mind?
I guess it brings another post option in because from what it looks like, New York had, everything up and running, but I guess they were not too enthused with their picks in Avery Worley Tabard or either Bulgat. So, they had to bring in another option, and that's where Zahui B came in. Now, I'm not sure, like you said, she, didn't show too much in her rookie season in Dallas, so I'm not for sure whether, she would provide for them. I know she did average, 4 points, 2 rebounds, although she did, for a post player, shot 33% from the three-point line. So hopefully, possibly she can add some three-point shooting there because we know about New York's already three-point shooting woes. So, hopefully she can provide that, for New York this season.
And Crystal, so again, folks, the traders again, Amanda Zahui B dealt from the Wings to the Liberty today. Now, Crystal, I know that Shorty always brings up the argument about the Sun being Post City. Well, now that you got Zahui B going to New York behind Tina Charles and Kia Stokes, who are who are already probably, with Charles being an established post and Stokes an upcoming post again, who was blocking shots left and right in a few of those games for New York last year. This gives them, flexibility with a third stringer now potentially at the center position. So, Crystal, and looking long term for longevity, in your mind, what does this acquisition of Amanda Zahui B do for the Libs in 2016 at that position?
Um, I'm not sure what it does actually. Like Shorty said, her rookie year. I mean, she was a rookie, but she wasn't really that impressive. But everybody, not everybody does well their rookie year. But I think it will add some size. I'm not really sure what else it can add at that position. Um, it makes them younger, that's for sure. I mean, them taking off swim cash definitely helps the team out, and as far as the age department goes, and hopefully for them, she'll be productive whether she starts or coming off the bench. But I'm sure she's going to come off the bench just to have Tina Charles down there. But I think production off the bench, it would help a little bit. So I guess the only thing we could do is just wait and see.
And Eric, quickly before we get to you, your boy, Steve Rice, Women's Basketball Daily in the chat box says, Nolan Richardson is evidently running the wings again with a winking face, happy face emoji in the chat box. And of course, Steve Rice. Salute to Steve Rice, as always, folks. One of our great other Twitter basketball correspondents out there. Again, follow Steve on Twitter at WBB Daily. But Eric, in your mind, though, what does Zowie B going to New York do for the Liberty in 2016 at that spot, at least in your mind?
Yeah, what people need to keep in mind is that Adut Bogak is Canadian, technically, so she might be missing up to 11 games, and that's pretty significant, man. That's a third of the season. Zowie, I think a lot can be said about what Dallas thought of Zowie because they actually gave up a pick along with her to go to New York, so I think they just kind of wanted her out. That's just a guess, though, just pure conjecture on my part. But to New York, like you said, you brought up, she shoots a three. She's, a big post player. She's pretty versatile for her size. And I think that kind of gives New York, whether or not she does much this year, it kind of gives them an asset moving forward. She was drafted number 2 overall. That's pretty significant. I think she still has value. So even if she doesn't make a very big impact this season, she'll be part of their plans moving forward, no matter whether it be in New York or as a trade chip or whatever.
Marquez, it's what I brought up, though, too, is I believe, though, that the trade, again, gives the Liberty another option at that position behind Charles and behind Stokes at that position, again, with those two having monster years last year. And, obviously Tina Charles, playing, I believe has, played very well since having that change of scenery, being dealt from the Sun to the Liberty a couple seasons ago. And I believe that Stokes is still, there may be a learning curve still, but, she's pretty much on course to being a huge threat sometime soon for the Liberty at that position. But, MA, in your mind, what does the move, though, do in your mind for the Liberty going forward with them acquiring Amanda Zowie B from Dallas earlier today?
Well, to me, I guess that adds some more depth to the position because, there's Swords there too. So, but with Zowie B, you have someone that can play center or power forward. So I guess that's their thinking. And, they didn't give that much up for her because, the pick may or may not be very high in this coming draft. So I guess they figured since they have a lot of pieces, they could afford it to gamble on her. So I don't see it as a bad thing in the long run, at least.
So again, folks, the trade today, again, Dallas and New York trading, that is the Wings, dealing Amanda Zowie B and their 2017 first-round pick to the Liberty earlier today. And a quick comment from one of our other good followers on Twitter and avid viewers of the program, from our good pal Corey in the chat box. Corey wants to go back to the suspension talk we had. He just wanted to bring up a quick point. He says, why would or should a team pay a player who is not playing for them? I don't think teams suspend players who plan or want to play during the season, as his thoughts and take on the suspension argument and topic we brought up just a couple of minutes ago. And again, Corey, thank you for joining by as well, and for being one of the great viewers of the network on Twitter as well, and also other networks. Shorty, the other big news, I'd call it big news, of course. Swin Cash today, Shorty, after what's been a pretty illustrious career for Swin, waived today and released by the New York Liberty after being there pretty much ever since a trade made a few seasons ago between New York and Atlanta, where Cash had gone there. And as we said a few months ago, don't expect to see Swin Cash light up a scoreboard like she used to in her prime, of course. More so been used as a veteran leader, extra coach on the bench, a locker room motivator, I should say. And again, has done the job, Shorty. And doing her part though too to keep to keep the WNBA relevant, going out there on social media and always I'd say putting people in their place. I want to give her, crap up the league. But again, has been, one of the original members of the league. You can sort of say, been there almost since day one. But again, a name that a lot of people resonate and know very well from UConn plus the W. Shorty, if in fact Swin Cash does not return this season, what do you think probably is her future plan? I know that she's probably got it lined up with CBS or ESPN, but do you probably expect Swin Cash to be picked up by anybody as a veteran leader at all, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think a few teams might give her a look, just to, see what she can do, bring her in. But if not, I do see her, furthering her career in broadcasting because, she definitely do have a knack for that. But just, even though this waving, saddens me because she has been in the league for a very long time. But I mean, for New York, it does make sense because, they're looking to, be a contender in the Eastern Conference, and they also want to get younger as well. And they had Swin Cash being the veteran leader, locker room leader, and things like that. But her production, like I said, across the board, just went completely down. So it made sense on their part to want to cut ties with her and bring in their new pieces for the season.
And we will quickly, folks, revisit the chat box and say hi to Todd Mintz. Todd joining us tonight in the chat box. In regards to this, guys, he says Swin had to go. She was losing it the last couple of years. Younger ladies need to take those type of players' roster spots. And, Crystal, I think Todd has hit the nail on the head. Obviously, it's good, though, that there's been a player like Swin Cash or even DMJ, some of the OG or original members of the WNBA still playing out of the love of the game. But, Crystal, in the day and age now where players are getting younger, faster, stronger, and better, I think that it was, just probably time. It is sad, though, to see Swin Cash on a roster right now. But, Crystal, do you believe, though, that perhaps a team that may need some type of veteran leadership would call up Swin and give her a contract for the season?
I'm not sure if a team, and it's no disrespect to Swin, like Shorty said, Swin hasn't been productive in a while. I don't know if a team really would want to spend money on that right now, especially with the new format where there's where there's pretty much no playoff spot is guaranteed, but especially with this new format where they're pretty much not going by divisions anymore, where it's just straight up who has the best record. So I don't know if anyone would really want to spend money on a player that's really not going to give you anything. But a pep talk in the locker room, and you need a lot more than that. So if she wasn't exactly, if she wasn't picked up, I wouldn't be surprised. If she is, I think I'd be more surprised if she does end up landing on the team this year.
Eric, is this the end of the road for Swin Cash? Do you believe after today?
I do believe so. Yes, I definitely agree with Crystal in that, especially in this point in preseason when most teams have their rosters set. Marquez is a San Antonio fan, so he can disagree with me on that. But so direct all complaints about San Antonio to Marquez.
Yes.
Aside from that, I don't think anybody is really looking for what Swin Cash still has to offer, which is, as we've alluded to, veteran leadership, good locker room presence, blah blah blah. I definitely agree with Todd Mintz on that one. It's time. She's had a great career, but I think she's got that career in broadcasting lined up, and she'd be better served doing that than holding up somebody's spot in the WNBA.
And Marquez, that does bring me to a point, though. Obviously, if this is the end for Swin Cash, obviously we know that. As I'll quickly deteriorate, Eric, because your boy Steve Rice has a pretty good, funny response. Steve says, Swin better call up Kelly Ripa. There's an opening there on Live with Kelly. So there's an opening for Swin Cash right there, according to Steve. But again, Steve, thank you very much for that. But Marquez, obviously, if this is the end for Swin Cash, again, like we said, original member pretty much of the WNBA. But Marquez, in your mind, though, buddy, what is Swin Cash's final lasting legacy across college and in the WNBA in your mind as you think about it, if in fact this is the end of the road for her in your mind?
Well, she's a winner, like the ultimate winner. She has the class of the game. She put the WNBA on her shoulders in terms of like defending and advocating and promoting to people that aren't really aware of what's going on in the league. So you have to give it up to her for that. And the interesting is, though, someone brought up the question if someone would bring her in, and I said prior to the Monique Curry trade, maybe San Antonio of all teams would have given her a look because I mean they have a lot of young people. They they need the veteran talent, and our roster still isn't set yet. So I said maybe, but since Monique is now in town, I don't really think so. But I mean, I'd like to see her get another try, but I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't.
So again, folks, other notable move again, Swin Cash, again, longtime member of the WNBA family, again, waived today by the New York Liberty, and perhaps, potentially, who knows, but again, could be the end of the road for Swin Cash's career, perhaps. We'll hold out some hope for her that she'll find another place somewhere, hopefully, and she can continue doing what she does best. If not, we wish her the best, doing her broadcasting career with CBS Sports Network and perhaps even doing some WNBA games for the ESPN family of networks. Shorty, with that in mind, we'll move now, guys, again, as we know, Saturday is the grand opening, you can sort of say, of the 20th season of the WNBA. Again, plenty of games on the schedule, folks. Here's your Saturday schedule for you guys. Again, it'll be Dallas, Indiana at 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock Eastern. New York at Washington, 4 and 7. Phoenix, Minnesota on ESPN, 4:30, 7:30. Connecticut, Chicago, 5 and 8. And also at 5 and 8, Atlanta at San Antonio. So, Shorty, kind of run through some of the games. First and foremost, Dallas will open its inaugural season of play in Indiana against a team that got to the WNBA Finals last season. Shorty, what are your pregame storylines for both these teams as you think about it? Again, Dallas, Indiana, tipping off the season 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 Eastern from Indianapolis.
Quickly, I'll just say that, people are going to be looking forward to, the defending, you could say, Eastern Conference champs and the Indiana Fever and, Catch and her legacy tour beginning to kick off. So that's definitely one of the storylines for that game. Also, the new introduced Dallas Wings, formerly of the Tulsa Shock. So there's something there. Then there's New York, Washington, I guess. The continuance of Washington. I mean, not Washington, but the Liberty's dominance. So I guess that'll be a storyline in that game for them to look forward to. Phoenix, Minnesota. Now that is the scheduled game of the night. Oh my goodness, these two powerhouses in the Western Conference, and we know that whole incident that happened the last playoff game with the whole ref and the whole ordeal with the back call situation. So that'll definitely be a game to look forward to, especially with DT back. So that's definitely one of the storylines there. And then last but not least, Connecticut Sun and the Chicago Sky. I guess everyone's going to be looking, for the continuance of Alina Deladon being last year's 2015 MVP winner. So they'll be looking forward to her, and also the Sun, to see if they can bounce back from what was a promising season, but then they were hit with a lot of injuries. So those will be the storylines for Saturday.
All right, so we got Shorty storylines. Crystal, how about you with storylines for each of the games? What do you got?
I have to agree with Shorty. Definitely that rematch between Phoenix and Minnesota. That's going to be a good one. I feel bad for Marquez because I don't know if anybody's really going to want to watch, that snooze fest between Atlanta and San Antonio. I do think that the Sun game in Chicago, that's going to be a good one to watch.
Yeah, it is.
The Sun is a really good, they're a decent young team. New place, new everything. I'm actually probably going to tune into that one myself. People are really looking forward to because it's going to be televised. It's definitely the Phoenix Mercury and Minnesota Lynx. And I still say Mercury win by 10. Calling it right now.
Yeah, I got Mercury winning.
We'll get everyone's picks for the games on the preview show tomorrow. But Eric, obviously, so you'll be at one of those games, of course, Chicago hosting Connecticut. But Eric, what are the storylines though that you'll be looking for each of those games that will be on Saturday to kick off the season?
Well, it's hard to not think of a storyline for Minnesota versus Phoenix. I think those are going to be the top two teams in the league this season, and it's a rivalry game now because they keep meeting in the playoffs and beating up on each other anyway. And of course, being on ESPN, that's a really big deal. So people are going to want to watch that because it's going to be world-class basketball. As far as the other games, Connecticut and Chicago is going to be interesting. not because I'm there, but because yeah, like Crystal said, everything's new. Kurt Miller, new coach, new system, new players. So I'm not going to be just sitting there rooting there like an idiot. I'm going to actually have to. I'm going to actually have to be, paying attention here to see what's going on. And then, Indy and Dallas, that's going to be another really good one. Like, that's going to be really high scoring. That's going to be really fun. I hope Debbie Antonelli is calling that game because that's just going to be a huge offensive firepower in that game. As we saw in their preseason game, I think Indy broke 100 in that game. So, of course, it's just preseason, but that matchup's going to be a lot of fun too.
So Marquez, again, we got a lot of, there's a lot on the plate on Saturday. Of course, you have Mercury and Lynx on ESPN. You have the Stars playing the Dream as well at 5 o'clock Pacific, 7 Central, 8 Eastern time. Marquez, how about your storylines, though, for the other games in the WNBA on Saturday for opening day?
Well, look, I'm going to have to give my star some love here because in preseason, we didn't have everyone playing together, not using that as an excuse because we're probably going to be awful anyways. But Kayla and Mariah, I'm excited to see what they're going to do together once everything meshes and gels. And Dallas Indy, I'm really looking forward to that one because of the post. Dallas got rid of Zowie, and it seems as if they're going to go with Hamlin and Plaisance, my LSU. Got to give her some credit too. I'm really interested to see how they're gonna adjust because Indy, their post rotation is stacked, and Hamlin and Plaisance not discrediting them, but I really think that they may have a little bit of trouble with them. But I'm still gonna be tuning in to watch.
Yeah, guys, if I'm looking at any storylines here for these games, I'll start with Dallas and Indy. Of course, it's the inaugural year for the Dallas Wings. Of course, new identity, new team, new city. Pretty much same players, same core, and of course, team that I've said has been very intriguing for me over the offseason for the Fever. Hey, it's TC 24 forever. The legacy tour for Tamika Catchings begins this year. Of course, she'll be having stops at every away game this year. She'll be having a bunch like Q&As and stuff like that. New York, can they repeat what happened last year? A 23-11 season, top seed in the Eastern Conference before they fizzled out in round 2 last year. Washington, will Mike Tebow continue the year, will continue the tradition of consistency of always being in the postseason mix somewhere in the top 4, or now in this case where it's free for all, of course. Mercury Lynx, of course, there's a lot of hype around this match with it being on the mothership on ESPN at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. Of course, Phoenix with all their puzzle pieces back and all the heavy artillery and the arsenal back to full strength against the defending champs. Couldn't have asked for a better game on ESPN. Connecticut, can they stay healthy with the new system? Of course, Kurt Miller, new head coach, in place. And with Chicago, will EDD repeat as MVP? Can she continue that season that she had from 2015 and continue that on? And then with Atlanta and San Antonio, it's all about the future players, of course, as we've already talked about a few times, with the Stars and seeing how their young talent will play against a young Atlanta team. So, 2 young teams that could be in the mix in a couple years, perhaps, doodling it out late night. And Todd Mintz does comment, guys. He says Dallas and Indiana, intriguing opener in his mind for that. And then, Shorty, there is one game on Sunday that is, or a couple games on Sunday, but the notable game, of course, is the other team will celebrate their 20th season. Of course, the Los Angeles Sparks will host the Seattle Storm for the 3rd straight season, going to kick off their 20th season at 2 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern from Staples Center. Shorty, obviously we know a few storylines in regards to LA having all their talent back, along with the Storm being a very young team. Shorty, how about your storylines for Seattle and Los Angeles?
Seattle and Los Angeles. Initially, I wasn't happy opening up with the same doggone team every year, but I'll live, but it's definitely going to be interesting seeing the, you could say, new look Seattle Storm. They're bringing in, lots of young talent. You got Jewel Loy, you have the number 1 overall pick in Breanna Stewart, so definitely want to see what she can bring in her first game. And then there's the LA Sparks, led by Candace Parker, who might have felt disrespected by the Olympic Committee. So we'll see what she does.
What gave you that idea?
Yeah, when she comes out, guns a blazing and having already their talented lineup, come back. So it'll definitely be interesting to see for the Sparks and the Storm.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, by the way, guys, Steve Rice's comment, though, in a more serious note, he says, Rebecca Tobin, great story. Fingers crossed for her is what he says. Crystal, we know that you will be at the LA home opener on Sunday, again, this Sunday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. Crystal, any storylines you have in mind for Seattle, LA, round 4? Again, this is the third straight season that LA will open up with Seattle at home this year.
It's like bad deja vu seeing them play again for like 3 straight years. Already was just like, please don't let it be Seattle basketball gods, but they gave us Seattle again. So I guess I'm just gonna have to suck it up and watch. I can't wait to see what they do. They're a younger team now. I can't wait to see how Jewel Wade comes out and Brianna Stewart and Alicia Clark and Sue Bird and all these people. I want to see if they can give us a good game. Hopefully, Seattle doesn't win because I don't want to see that while I'm there, not the first game. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be interesting because we still don't know who LA has on their roster as far as cuts and stuff goes. And everybody knows I've been. Yeah, they have to make a lot, and everybody knows I've been an advocate for LA getting a bench. So hopefully they make the right cuts. Hopefully they make the right cuts because we don't want no more people on the bench yelling World Star and ha and Kiki, and we don't want that. So hopefully the right cuts will be made, and hopefully LA will finally get a bench so I can sleep at night, after these games are over.
So, Eric, again, LA, Seattle, again, third straight year, the Storm will play the Sparks either in Seattle or in LA to kick off their seasons respectfully again. Eric, storylines for you going into this matchup on Sunday?
Big storyline will be who Crystal's new favorite player is now that Farhad Abdi is gone. I'm guessing it'll be Ann Waters, but I'm not sure about that. No, seriously, I think it's pretty funny. I went over this yesterday with a buddy of mine. Brian Agler always ends up on the wrong side of this matchup. Like in Seattle, they couldn't beat LA. Then he goes to LA, they get swept by Seattle somehow. I don't even know how that's possible. But yeah, I think definitely agreed with the comments about Brianna Stewart and Jewel Lloyd. That's going to be a tandem to really look forward to. And people saying this Candace Parker is going to use it as motivation, but let me see it, man. You're talking a big game, so let's come out and prove it.
Yeah, and I'm sure that she probably will end up pulling it sometimes as well. Marquez, how about you again? LA, Seattle, and like I said again, at least the third straight year again that LA and Seattle will open up their seasons against each other head to head. Marquez, what storylines are you monitoring for this game on Sunday?
I'm looking forward to see how improved Seattle comes back from last year, considering all the new pieces they have, and LA is finally healthy. Everyone's gonna be healthy, hopefully, barring anything. And given Seattle gave LA some fits last season, I'd like to see LA hopefully win because I still don't see how Seattle did it, but
that was bad, yeah.
But either.
I said that I don't know how that was possible.
But Essence Carson, I hope to see her kind of come back better than she has before, and Candace, it's just a lot. I'm really looking forward to that game for many reasons, but the main thing is Seattle's improvement, LA coming back together, and hopefully they can get everything settled with their bench, like Crystal said, and how they're going to play, and how they're going to play Candace, Lavender, and NECA efficiently. It's just a lot.
Guys, Todd Mitch brought up a great point right now. He says LA cannot afford to start the season with a loss to Seattle this time. They have struggled with Seattle so much at Staples in recent years, and again, Shorty, or guys in general, I think the storylines that I'm monitoring for this game again with Seattle again, back-to-back first, number one picks, Lloyd and Stewart playing with each other this go-around again, and Sue Bird again leading that Seattle team again back into Staples Center again to kick off the season. Where, guys, in LA's case, this is probably the first time in a while that they will probably, again, be at full strength in quite some time. Of course, no Parker last year. We saw how miserable that was, an 0-7 start, losing games incrementally, either blowing big leads or getting behind in games, at certain points, and you were just, hoping for the best pretty much without Parker for the part of the season. I think this year, guys, that with Parker having a lot of the extra motivation of all the off-season stuff, of course, not playing overseas for a bit, went to China for a bit, played over there, but again, not too much there. But again, in regards to either being snubbed off the Olympic roster or not being involved with the ESPN magazine issue for the 20th season, there was a lot of factors there. But now it's as Eric said, it's a matter of her going out there and improving. And letting her game speak for itself again on Sunday, and also with Agumake and Lavender as well being back, and Tolliver being back as well. That LA, with them being at full strength, that perhaps may be a turning point or X factor for that game on Sunday. With that, though, folks, we will come back and see you folks tomorrow with a hour-and-a-half exclusive show, folks, of the 2016 WNBA 365 Network 2016 preview show tomorrow night. We'll preview the entire season, go team by team, and talk about more storylines with each team, and then we will, at the very end of the show, pick our 2016 WNBA champs. Until then, folks, for Eric Nemchuk in Elmhurst, Illinois, and for the SoCal crew of Tanisha Stewart and Crystal Thomas, and for Marquez Anderson, folks, again, and want to thank Marquez for stopping by and joining us. Again, folks, please follow Marquez on Twitter. Again, his handle is at WBB_247. Great guy, great commentary as well, He's been a loyal Twitter follower of the network, and also is always open for conversation, folks. So again, his handle again is at WBB_247. Marquez, thank you, sir, for stopping by and joining us, buddy, and we hope you enjoyed your night.
Thank you so much.
With that, folks, we'll see you folks right back here tomorrow night, 9 o'clock p.m. Until then, folks, we'll see you tomorrow. This is Cam Clark signing off here on WNBA 365. Until then, folks, until tomorrow night, good night. Bye-bye.